When Jesus' disciples thought God wanted to burn people, Jesus exclaimed, "You know not what spirit possesses you." This statement clearly shows that you can receive all the teachings of Jesus, but still want God to be evil. How much more evil is it to want the unworthy to be burned alive day and night, for trillions of eons, considering calling fire from heaven would only cause agony for a brief moment? Be aware, what they were suggesting is a biblical belief, much like today. They were not trying to offend Jesus, but showing their evil religious beliefs about God's nature, much like today. Even so, this modern belief is obviously infinitely more evil, reflecting the Roman Catholic takeover of religion in the 4th century. Because this modern Roman Catholicism they are calling Protestantism says they will teach you salvation by grace, but then instead mixes in salvation by works. The actual scriptures that oppose this spirit of religion tend to teeter precariously on one's sense of self-worth until the birds of the air, devils, come down and take that which is sown. This is even more prevalent in a group of peers to where 18 years after Jesus ascended, Paul is already saying, "O foolish Galatians who has preached to you," speaking about the whole group having lost the effective understanding of salvation by grace. The principal weapon of these religious devils is to teach the teachings of Jesus, where he is teaching on the law, not the gospel. This is actually quite clear in the text if you are looking for it. For example, where they say to Jesus, "Master, tell us the weightier matters of the law." And again, what is the greatest commandment? To save the Jews who were under the law, Jesus had to die having fulfilled the law, and for a Jewish man this meant having to teach the law. But what the RC Protestant religion deliberately set out to do was mix this glory of condemnation into the gospel, making it difficult for the unwary to escape the blasphemous mess they are now calling Christianity. Jesus himself spoke of this mess now masquerading as the gospel, saying, "Many will come in my name and deceive many." Paul, speaking of this that he foresaw, said, "The time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine." And just look at how pernicious this modern-day Roman Catholicism is. You will hear it yelled from every pulpit in the land that God set in heaven and devised a way to burn people in a lake of fire. Can you imagine anything more evil than to say such a thing about anyone? Can you imagine being so evil as to actually say that about God? Imagine being so evil as to think that about someone we are told allowed himself to suffer all punishment for us. No wonder Jesus said, "You know not what spirit you have." This statement clearly shows that you can receive all the teachings of Jesus, yet want God to torture your neighbor forever. Can you not see how evil is it to want the pagan Catholic version of the end times, rather than go to the trouble of examining the history of these teachings? People forget that for one whole millennium it was the pagan Antichrist beliefs of the most wicked men in history, not God, that chose which books best represented their evil beliefs about Jesus. Who else but Satan would say Jesus wants the unworthy to be burned alive, day and night for trillions of eons, considering calling fire down from heaven would only cause agony for a brief moment? Just exactly how sick has the human psyche become that this is no longer being said by God's enemies, but rather those who think they love him or have some right to speak for him.